Child, if there's one thing that's been consistently said over the years by countless people, it's that Tina Knowles is considered the true villain of the Knowles family. And when I say villain, I'm referring to the way people describe her as narcissistic, controlling, and manipulative.
Christine had a color issue. So this is what she said. Coming back to my apartment to tell me that I had made the right decision, she told me that it was just as well. And this is a direct quote. Ashley is talented, but she is so big. She towers over the other girls, and she is too dark and ugly.
Well, you know who might allegedly attest to all the trouble Tina has caused. Her two ex-husbands, Mathew Knowles and Richard Lawson, her daughter Solange, everyone who has ever been a part of Destiny's Child, and essentially anyone who has closely interacted with her. There's a lot that's been said and observed, but let's start with how she treats Beyonce as if she's her only child. I mean, is Solange a joke to you? And wait, were you saying Tina has issues with Jay-Z?
Wait a minute, are you saying Tina Jay-Z?
I'm saying it's all in the family.
What?
That's why Solange so terrible. Because Solange ain't going for it. She's the real talent. She's the one with real integrity.
Wait a minute.
And the way she's been treated, it's disgusting.
Allegedly, Tina is behind the tension between Beyonce and Solange, as she reportedly doesn't hide her preference for Beyonce over Solange. The feud between the sisters reportedly peaked while Beyonce was working on her album Renaissance. An insider who spoke to Media Takeout revealed that there was noticeable tension. According to the insider, it seemed odd that Solange wasn't involved in Beyonce's project, especially since the album's style seemed like a good fit for her. They also pointed out that Solange didn't show any support for Renaissance on social media, which was unusual. The source also found it strange that Solange didn't publicly support Beyonce's album, given how crucial it was for Renaissance to get broad support. While the insider admitted they had no direct evidence of a rift, they suggested that something significant might be going on between the sisters. Rumor has it that Solange might be frustrated with Tina for pushing her to help Beyonce's success without receiving adequate recognition herself. For instance, Beyonce didn't mention Solange in her Grammy speech last year, despite acknowledging everyone else in her family.
I want to thank God for protecting me. Thank you, God. I'd like to thank my Uncle Johnny, who's not here, but he's here in spirit. I'd like to thank my parents, my father, my mother, for loving me and pushing me. I'd like to thank my beautiful husband, my beautiful 3 children who are at home watching. I'd like to thank the queer community for your love and for inventing this genre. God bless you. Thank you so much to the grand.
Oh, poor Solange. But if there's one person who's really felt Tina's wrath, it's Richard Lawson. Tina recently filed for divorce from Richard, and according to court documents, the separation was due to irreconcilable differences that caused the marriage to break down, making it impossible for them to continue as husband and wife. The terms of their settlement revealed that neither party would receive spousal support, but Tina was required to make a one-time payment of $300,000 to Richard. Additionally, the settlement included a non-disparagement clause that prevents either of them from speaking negatively about the other, their children, or their spouses. This clause also stipulates that they cannot discuss any current or future grandchildren with the media or anyone else, either verbally or in writing. Many people found the divorce unsurprising, given their public behavior. Some believe Tina never considered Richard a suitable husband, which is why she kept Mathew's last name and reportedly embarrassed Richard in interviews.
I envisioned the type of man I wanted. I prayed for the type of man I wanted, and I got pretty much that. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But, he has a lot of the qualities. He has a lot of the qualities that I love, and we're having a really good time, and I'm enjoying life. So there is hope, women.
The general assumption has always been that Tina married Richard Lawson primarily to get back at her ex-husband, Mathew. Once she felt she had achieved that goal, she decided to end the marriage. Tina's first marriage to Mathew Knowles ended in 2009 after it was revealed that Mathew had fathered a child with Alexandra Wright. Tina initially filed for divorce in 2009, but dropped the suit in 2010. She refiled the following year, citing conflict of personalities that made reconciliation impossible. Mathew's infidelities weren't limited to Alexandra. He was reportedly involved with multiple women. The situation became particularly messy when Alexandra had a child and made the affair public.
Let me tell you something about taking a picture crying next to a garbage dump. That is the most dramatic thing ever. But I see, even though you're in such a way, you can still get your nails done, girl. And Jacoya was pregnant at the same time as Alexandra Wright. And this is all on it's a blurred line as to whether he was actually divorced from Tina or going through divorce. Whatever it is, it's really sloppy. I wonder what Solange says. You know what I mean? Because now that we know a bit about Solange, I wonder whether she windmilled him.
I've heard that one reason Mathew never acknowledged his children from outside his marriage is because Tina allegedly prohibited it. It's also said that Tina prevents Beyoncé and Solange from having any relationship with their half-siblings. Besides the child Mathew fathered with Alexandra Wright, another publicly known child is Coy, who was born to Toya. Toya, a dancer at the time she met Mathew, claimed that Mathew treated her as the love of his life during their affair. However, things changed when he learned she was pregnant with Coy. After that, Mathew reportedly abandoned her and, similar to his actions with Alexandra, denied that Coy was his child.
Told Mathew Knowles that you were pregnant with his child. How did he react?
Very much, well, you can't get pregnant by me. It can't be my child. Can't deny it once DNA test comes out 99.9% that you are the father.
All single ladies.
Sources have claimed that Tina made sure the women Mathew was involved with, along with their children, suffered as a consequence. Despite Mathew's ability to provide for his legitimate children, he was reportedly given strict instructions to let the other children and their mothers struggle. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't to say that Mathew was a saint. In fact, he's just as, if not more, problematic than Tina. The streets have also suggested that Tina allowed Mathew to cheat because she was engaging in similar behavior herself. David Lee Brewer, Beyoncé's childhood vocal coach, touched on this in his tell-all book, Beyoncé, Raising Genius, a teacher and his prodigy. Brewer mentioned Mathew's escalating issues, saying, "Turns out he had escalated to stronger drugs and even stranger behaviors." Rumor had it that Coca-Cola had long since stopped satisfying his thirst and had turned to crack. He also recounted Tina's infidelity with Richard Lawson, noting, "I soon discovered that although unhappily married, Celestine was not suffering alone. One afternoon, while retrieving my keyboard from the main house, I happened upon Celestine kissing a man I recognized immediately as Richard Lawson, a famous actor. The startled Celestine had no choice but to introduce me. Talk about awkward. She was supposed to be at her salon. I extended my hand to Richard, telling him how much I admire his work. And if you thought that was bad, wait until you hear about the alleged things Tina made former Destiny's Child members endure. It's rumored that Tina was behind the issues faced by Farrah Franklin, a former member of Destiny's Child. You might remember when Mathew stated in an MTV interview that the group decided to part ways with Farrah after she missed several shows. He said, "The bottom line is that Farrah didn't show up for work. I don't care where you work, whether it's a production line or whatever. If you don't show up, you're going to get fired." Mathew reiterated this point in another interview.
Farrah didn't show up, didn't call us, didn't let us know. Then we left Seattle to go to Los Angeles to take a nonstop flight to Sydney, Australia. So we haven't heard from Farrah. We get to LAX. We continue to call her. Finally, she got on the phone. So that part was absolutely correct. And then at that point, she said she quit.
Well, according to Farrah Franklin, that's not exactly how things unfolded. She made sure to share her side of the story and accused the entire family, including Bayamke, of dishonesty. Farrah claimed that the family's narrative was misleading and that Bayamke's repetition of her father's account was inaccurate.
Well, that's not true. I've never missed a show, ever, or I would have got kicked out the group. You know how much I was getting paid to do a show, and that's the best part of my day? I'm not missing any shows. But when I leave the group, they weren't honest with people and say that I left. They were trying to give themselves more time to clear the air, whatever, but I've never missed a show, ever. And like I said, if I would have missed the group, then they would have kicked me out. So you can't say I'm missing shows if I'm no longer a part of the group anymore. That's a lie. Bold.
But guess who was influencing both Mathew and Bayamke all along? That's right, Tina. It's possible that Tina's actions were driven by her awareness of Mathew's interest in Farrah. Farrah has previously claimed that Mathew did indeed make advances toward her, which could explain why Tina was so determined to have Farrah removed.
Fortunately, my manager happened to be Beyonce's father. Mathew Knowles, he propositioned me to invite me over to the hotel to meet and speak with him.
Did Mathew try to sleep with you, Farrah?
I haven't met too many people in my life who haven't liked me. I'll just put it like that.
Speaking of Farrah, she revealed on an episode of The Wendy Williams Experience that during her time with Destiny's Child, all the other members were required to tan to ensure they appeared significantly darker than Bayamke. And guess who was behind this? You probably guessed it. Tina?
Yeah, that's right. You don't talk about Tina Knowles. Because what she did to Farrah is totally separate from the look that she possesses. Gorgeous woman.
Thank you.
However, I understand that she wanted you to, she was trying to downplay your naturally stunning looks while you were in the group. Did she have you dye your hair, or she wanted you to dye it something other than the stunning black that it is?
Yeah, my hair was red when I was in the group, actually. And I was
crown red, like the old Kelly red? What?
My hair was red. Yeah. My hair was red. I look a lot different than when I was in the group.
Damn sure do, because I don't even recognize you.
Yeah.
I know your name, but I don't know you.
This is how I would have looked naturally, like, but this is the group. That's how they wanted me to look.
What else would they do to ugly you up?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but I mean, I did have to tan a lot. When I was
tan a lot? Because they wanted Beyonce to be the lightest one?
I mean, Michelle, I, and Kelly tanned sometimes, so.
Wow. And Beyonce wouldn't tan?
Honey, I've also seen receipts claiming that Tina instructed the girls to get sunbaked, but specifically told Beyonce to avoid the sun. The goal? To ensure Beyonce appeared lighter compared to the other members. And it gets worse. Tina allegedly had a preference against working with darker-skinned girls altogether. For those who don't know, Ashley Tamar Davis was once part of Destiny's Child. A former voice coach has publicly stated that Tina did not want to work with Ashley because she was described as dark, big, and ugly. During a conversation with Ashley, the coach reminisced about their Destiny's Child days and mentioned feeling the negative energy from her parents. When Ashley asked for details about why she was removed from the group, the coach revealed Tina's disdain for her, saying Celestine Tina had a significant role in her departure.
Celestine had a color issue. So this is what she said. Coming back to my apartment to tell me that I had made the right decision, she told me that it was just as well. And this is a direct quote. Ashley is talented, but she is so big. She towers over the other girls, and she is too dark and ugly.
Another rumor about Tina is that she allegedly pressured Kelly Rowland to cut her hair because she couldn't tolerate anyone outshining Bayamke. While the pixie cut was quite trendy at the time, and it's possible that Kelly wanted the style herself, there are claims that Tina was behind the decision. Although the pixie cut became iconic and Kelly looked amazing with it, knowing that it might have been done to prevent her from overshadowing Beyoncé adds another layer to the story. These are just some of the allegations about Tina being a controlling and narcissistic figure. There are many more rumors circulating, with reports suggesting that her ex-husbands have also talked about her manipulative ways. What else might there be that hasn't been uncovered? What is it about Tina that seems to rub people the wrong way?